Welcome back to the show, folks. Now, being that today's topic is marketing, I thought it would be useful, I guess, to bring in a marketer to come chat with me. So, Mr. Dave Gerhardt, current CMO of Privy.com, former VP of marketing at Drift. I know, Dave, you work very, very stressful 4-hour workdays, so thank you for fitting us in between silent meditation and drum circle. Really appreciate you being here.
I'm sorry to interrupt you from prospecting, but I'm glad that we could do this together.
Well, you know, Dave, I have an SDR for that, okay? And they actually align to marketing for some reason, which we can figure out later on. We can get into that. But I want to tee you up with a pretty basic question. You know, as someone who works intimately with the sales team, undoubtedly, which is more important, marketing or sales? And why is it quite obviously sales?
I actually do think it's sales. Like, it is sales, right? Like, every salesperson I know has a better car. I drive a Toyota Highlander, and it's leased. And so I don't have a problem with that. I think my job is to keep you fed and make sure that you can buy the Porsche, which is why I don't understand why a lot of sales people don't appreciate like what I do all day.
Wow. That was so introspective and real. I think the big question is, now this kind of actually leads to the follow-up there. There's always this rivalry between sales and marketing. And I was curious what marketing's thoughts are about sales. I'll tell you our thoughts on marketing in a moment, but I want to hear your thoughts on sales.
The best salespeople that I've worked with actually know the product and they know the industry, and they feel like an extension of the marketing team. So see how I brought that all back in there. I think they're product experts. They're helpful, and they're not just going to make you go through this crazy process that some sales manager sent because you got to have budget, authority, needs, timing. They actually just try to have conversations and actually know what they're talking about to be able to help. And I think that's a little bit different than just picking up the phone and trying to hammer everybody that you can try to get in contact with.
That's reasonable, shockingly reasonable, once again. Now, I would say without a doubt that marketing is actually an extension of sales. I feel you either build the product or you sell the product. Therefore, marketing supports sales efforts. Now, there's a lot of marketers out there that think, apparently contrary to your belief, that marketing is more important or that sales wouldn't exist without marketing. I've never found a startup that immediately rolls out a marketing team. It's always somebody in sales. So in our opinion, in sales' humble opinion, we view marketers to be someone who writes shitty emails on our behalf, usually have never done sales in their life. They host webinars, usually attended by 6 or 7 people, 5 of which will give fake email addresses post. And then I guess my real question is, what exactly would you say marketers do?
All right. So this feels like therapy. Like, this feels like you have been in some really bad relationships. And I'm here to tell you that it's okay. Like, not everyone is great at marketing. And I think you've worked with a bunch of teams that have set a bad example for what marketing is. Because look, go and call, you know what you should do? This would be a fun segment. Call a salesperson that I used to work with and ask them if I made life better for them or worse. And the other thing that I would say back to you, corporate bro, is have you ever done outbound? And is outbound cold calling fun?
Have I ever done outbound? Pretty much exclusively outbound. Is cold calling fun? I'm going to answer that quite simply with no. There are many things I would rather do, including inflicting pain upon myself. So no, cold calling has never been fun for me, except for those rare times you set a meeting. That feels really good, but that's about, 1 in 100. So no. But don't you think it should be required for marketers to spend time in sales before they're allowed to ever market?
I don't think you have to spend time in sales. I don't think you have to actually sell. I think you should be able to, here, I'll meet you in the middle somewhere. I don't think you have to actually sell to like a customer. I would say that, like, I would expect a marketer to be able to actually do a role play with a sales rep and have that person be like, you know what? Like, that wasn't half bad. I think at least be able to spit back all of the usually bullshit that you're writing on the website and in emails. Like, I think I always try to, like, really believe. I did the research. I wrote the copy. I really believe in this pitch. And so I want to get in front of the sales team because I think that I can get the sales team fired up and be like, holy shit, that's a good pitch. Like I want to take that and I want to go roll that out. I think the challenge is most people aren't great at internal marketing and especially don't have a good relationship with sales. And so every opportunity to get up in front of and speak to the sales team becomes this like big, intimidating, everyone's just going to poke holes in you, where like I think the opportunities are, hey, I might be a little bit better of a pitch man and a storyteller. Let me tell you about this deck. I think together we can do this and actually get somebody fired up about it. That's I think you haven't had the luxury of working with a world-class marketing team. That's the honest answer. Who are these B-level, C-level marketing teams you've been around?
I don't know, but they're dog shit. And yeah, I mean, I think they're kind of abrasive in their messaging, or they'll do things and just say, go ahead, sales, and do it, and not really give us a chance to rebuttal or come back and poke those holes, because we love to poke holes, because everyone pokes holes in us all day long. So we got to be ready to counter that when it comes our way. So it still is, you mentioned kind of the internal sales and how important it is for a marketer to be able to sell internally. How does someone even learn that?
So one thing that helped me, and this is the only way that I did this, was I was a marketer at a company who was trying to prove that I was legit. And I was the first marketing person there. There was a sales team of 7-8 people. Every day, this was really early stage company. Every day the sales team would sit together at a table. I'm sure you've been part of this, at 5 o'clock at the end of the day. And the VP of sales would go around and be like, all right, corporate bro, how many calls did you make today? How many emails, right? Hey, what came up? And through that, actually sitting at that meeting every day, I would just share what I did that day also, to like actually be part of that team, as opposed to just being just taking notes in Slack and then sending somebody like an updated PDF. I actually felt like I was part of that sales team. And so I'd be part of that daily stand-up every day. And when someone would say, oh yeah, two people bailed on me, like I had a bunch of no-shows, more than I had before, then the pressure would be on me, because I'm sitting at that table and I'd say, okay, hold on, let me go look at that. All right, I'm going to tweak something. Let's come back tomorrow and see. And literally the next day we'd see, oh shit, that actually worked better. Or, hey, this one objection keeps coming up on every single call. It'd be awesome if we had like a video for that, or a landing page for that. And instead of being like, yeah, we'll do it, I'd come back the next day or the next week and be like, hey, that thing that you asked for, here it is. And we built this level of relationship where I think a lot of times in sales and marketing, it's very much like it feels like the sales team, you just have to give. But I feel like as a marketer, it has to be, you have to meet in the middle and actually say, hey, now that I just made you those 5 case studies you asked for, corporate bro, why aren't you closing deals? Like now it's on you. I've created the things that you've asked for. So is the problem that you don't have enough case studies, or is maybe the problem actually in the sales process? And that's the relationship that we had together. And if you form that early, then it's going to be embedded in the marketing team as they grow. I also have been measured only on revenue. And so ultimately, like the way that I would get a bonus as an exec at a company is based on revenue. And so if I'm not aligned to revenue as a marketer, like I'm not going to win personally, and the company's not going to win.
Right. Yeah. Those moments where I get the case study and it doesn't work and I suck again. But okay, so that you mentioned the numbers and being tied to revenue. And it feels like the perception in sales is that marketers aren't held accountable in the same way sales folks are. Now, I realize at the top, like you are definitely aligned, you're CMO, you're aligned to revenue, but so many of the mid-level, low-level marketers, it doesn't seem like they're revenue driven. It just seems like, yeah, good or bad, I'm getting paid, I exist, we got new lanyards for the company. Like, how do we hold the lower levels accountable? Are they being held accountable? It seems like so many startups don't hold marketing accountable from the get-go.
Well, I think it starts with the CMO, whoever's leading the marketing team, to like, they ultimately own defining the goals for the team. And so if the team doesn't have goals that are mapped back to revenue, that's not on them. That's on me. I also think though that not every role in marketing needs to be aligned to revenue. And it's really important. Like, and this is the same true, like not every dollar in your marketing budget needs to have a quantifiable ROI, right? The stuff that you're spending money on, like, to actually go out and acquire like ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn, whatever, that stuff does. But in marketing, like, here's an example. You have a content team. And this is usually where this beef kind of comes up. It's content, It's video, it's social, it's webinars. You have no idea what they're measured on at all. And you have no idea on how whatever that stuff is impacts revenue. But what if you knew that the content team, because of all the stuff they've created over the last 6 months, have grown, organic traffic to your website has grown by 50%, and direct traffic to your website has grown by 50%, and branded search for the company that you work at has grown by 50%, right? And by the way, the phone is going to be easier for you to pick up if you have that air cover of more people knowing who you are and about the brand. And so it doesn't always have to be revenue, but it has to be some piece of that like actually fits into the puzzle. I think a lot of people struggle to set content goals, and so it does feel like there's just a team of people just writing blog posts about whatever with no clear measure. And like, hey, great, you got on page 1 for some keyword, but like even if 50% of those people convert, maybe you're going to get 3 or 4 more new leads. The math doesn't make sense. And so I think there are other goals in marketing beyond revenue. If you're talking about demand gen and lead gen, like those teams 100% have to be aligned to revenue and influencing your pipeline and helping you hit your number. The other teams can be more complementary.
I mean, yeah, getting some metrics and some hard data to the sales team would be tight because we don't see that. We have no clue what they're being measured on. It just seems like they're always just, every time I see marketers, they're like walking to another meeting, but they're always walking. They're never in the meeting. They're always walking to a meeting. I never know what's happening in those meetings, if they're even happening or if they're just going to get like snacks or whatever. So as a marketer, what's a misconception that salespeople have of marketers that right now, if you could just talk to them and clear it up, what would it be and what would you say?
There's so many.
I know. And some are probably true. So maybe they're not misconceptions.
All right. A misconception would be that like the individuals on the marketing team don't care about revenue. I think that we're all going to do whatever we're incentivized to do. And so that's less of a reflection on like, don't be mad at that individual, the content person, because it's not necessarily their fault. It's that like the cascading goals, they don't have a clear path. And so that to me speaks more to, if you want to be frustrated with somebody, you can be upset with the person that is leading that marketing team because it's clear that there's no direction over there. But I think that I think the misconception is that like you have a lot of just content people kind of standing around. In some ways, like you want to let creative people be creative and do that stuff. And so the things that you might mock them for with the scarves and coming to work at 10:30, that can be a gift and a curse. I think you just have to know. You have to know like who's responsible for that team and what are they trying to create. Because if all that content does lead to a brand that people love, and a year later everyone knows the name of the company that you're working at, your phone's going to be blowing up as a salesperson, and your life is going to be better too.
Right. Now you talked about coming in at 10:30 and, the gift and the curse. Now I have a post here that was, oh shit, it was you. Okay. Great. This is perfect. It seems like you mentioned a couple things that you and your wife get to work out together every morning. That's dope. No meetings during nap time. Also dope. Wish I had a nap time. And 2 to 3 meetings a day. I mean, that's incredible. And in fact, you even got corporate bro numbers on here with 1,100 likes, 100 comments, and that was just the beginning. Hashtag marketing, of course, one of my favorite hashtags. I'm kidding. It's not. I hate that hashtag. But I'm curious, if you can do your job so efficiently in such less time, shouldn't marketers just be compensated at a smaller value, at a lesser amount, if they can still continue to do the job in less time?
No, I would
Great engagement, by the way.
No, I would be asking people to take on different projects. But I think a lot of it is conversations with needy salespeople in the hallway that used to happen all day don't have to happen anymore.
Needy salespeople. We just need coffee and a phone.
I can't even get a drink. I can't even get a drink of water without hearing about, when are we going to add that page to the website, or when are you going to update that deck for me? And so without any of that stuff, like I've been able to just be way more efficient.
Don't you just tell them that one-pagers take 18 months minimum?
What do you think about Jason Lemkin's tweet that salespeople shouldn't make their own decks?
Ooh, what do I think about that? It's probably true because, well, it shouldn't be true because salespeople and marketers should both be storytellers. But I think oftentimes salespeople are shitty at that. And especially from a creative standpoint and visual creativity standpoint, most salespeople are pretty much limited to Microsoft Word. So their lack of technical capability would suggest to me that they probably it would behoove them to not make their own decks and simply have input on the content of the deck.
For someone who has such a way with words, that is a long-winded way of saying, I believe in marketing, corporate bro.
Oh, I believe in selling, Dave Gerhardt. That's what I believe. I believe in selling. The marketing, the subconscious subliminal messaging, the which shade is going to tell a better story.
I think you've been around too many marketing teams that have no direction and have over-invested in brand, and they think that brand means how your website looks and your logo. When I talk about brand, I mean that brand equals your reputation. And I don't think there's a salesperson on the planet who would tell me that the thing that you're trying to sell, having a better reputation, would be worse for the business. And so I think like that's what brand means. Like let's give people that brand equals reputation, not the blue and white and whatever weird thing on your .io logo.
Right. And I think that's where then as salespeople, that's what we like in marketing too. And then we say, how do you quantify brand? You can't. We know good brands are good. We know bad brands are bad. But how do we really know? Well, we did a focus group, so 8 out of 10 like the color. Okay, I want to do a few rapid fire questions for you. And and then we'll wrap this thing up. I know we've got about 5 minutes left. So here we go. Is marketing a nice to have or a need to have?
Need to have.
Sorry, I threw up in my mouth a little bit there. What's your favorite yoga position? Because I know you have one.
My favorite yoga position is namaste. I like to just sit there and just be zen.
I've never felt that in my life because I'm thinking about my number. That's honestly impossible to hit. So, which came first, a career in marketing or your gluten intolerance? Okay, well, we'll move on. I read in a recent article, it stated that 80% of marketers sit down to pee, while 70% of salespeople stand up to take a dump. Your response?
I've only worked at startups that have had 1 or 2 bathrooms at a time. I've never been able to confirm or deny.
Oh my God, can we talk about that? Like, why do they always seem to clean the bathrooms at like 9 a.m.? I guess you probably haven't noticed that because you guys don't get in until 10:30, but for salespeople, they clean the bathrooms at 9 a.m. I mean, that is prime time. It's like, yo, we just had coffee about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. Now you're gonna clean the bathroom. Anyway, how many times in your career has your company changed its logo to reflect the current social climate?
I would say we do that at least 3 times a year.
Oh, feels good, right? How many meetings does it take to decide to change a logo color?
Now that we've done it for 5 years in a row, it's automated. It's a bot that does it.
There we go. Less jobs, thanks to marketing. Less jobs out there, thanks to marketers. There you go. Now you have it. Look at those numbers. Unemployment keeps rising thanks to marketing. Okay, you have kids, right? So at what age do they need to be for you to finally come out and tell them you're a marketer?
We actually read books. We actually read books every night about how copywriting is like selling without picking up the phone. And I think both my son and my daughter are going to be great copywriters. So I don't know. The future doesn't look bright, honestly, on the sales side. And especially now that everybody's at home, like who can you even call? I think copywriting is the #1 selling skill, and I think you're going to be in trouble.
Well, I can actually support the copywriting. The writing component I can't agree with. Now, if you could give salespeople of the world one message from marketing, what would it be?
I would say we love you and we want to make you rich. If we make you rich, we will make more money too. Simple. I'll drive a Highlander, totally fine. You can drive a Porsche.
Agree to agree on that. Dave Gerhardt, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate all the insight. Thanks for being a good sport. And perhaps we'll get you back on here some other time, now that I know I can get real aggressive.
You can. This is what we're here for. Nobody wants, I'll leave you with a marketing lesson, corporate bro. Nobody wants vanilla positioning. This is the time to actually say something.
They call that missionary, Dave. Anyway, I agree with you. Vanilla positioning, not in these days. Take care, sir, and thank you again for being on Unsubscribe.
See you later.